Hey guys, and welcome to a battle between two clanmates, brother versus brother, as Sergeant Spaghetti tries to get some Dowie vengeance up against Grom Brindle, almost butchered his name there, as the Dwarfs do take on the Warriors of Chaos. Now, both of these guys have played recently on the channel up against each other, and it looks like Spaghetti going back to his favourite Dowie here in order to wreak havoc and vengeance. Should be some fun stuff. Anyway, for his build in the front line, it looks like we have Dwarf Warriors with great weapons, mixed in with the basic Dwarf Warriors as well. These guys are relatively cheap and cheerful, hold for a ridiculous amount of time, even up against Marauders who normally love to chew through infantry, and that has become some very decent melee defense of 40 and 85 armor is certainly no joke. In the secondary line, it looks like we have more Dwarf Warriors with great weapons dotted along, as well as a unit of miners, which are indeed the Ekrund Miners, Regiment of Renowned version, have an insane amount of blasting charges coming in and should be able to do some pretty decent damage. I like the miners being used in a secondary line to ensure that they can indeed launch all those blasting charges and get that good juicy value. In the kind of gun center pocket, I suppose, we do have Thunderers dotted all the way along. So 1, 2, 3, 4 units of Thunderers. And they are indeed going to be mixed in with some Iron Drakes with Trollhammer torpedoes as well. Looks like just the 2 units of those bad boys. Ridiculously good anti-large damage. And they can do pretty decent work as well, even up against the units because of that explosive damage. We do have a cannon with a silver chevron here, so it's going to be bringing the pain and punishment, and Dragonback Slayers, Regiment of Renowned Slayers, who are a real pest to deal with in general. Of course, they're unbreakable and anti-large like all Slayers, but I believe these guys do have some pretty nifty tools as well, in the form of the power of the Dragonback. Not only do they have flame resistance, it also slows down the opponent and gives them a weakness to fire, which is always, pretty damn useful. For Liege Lord here, we do have Belagar Iron Hammer. Looks like he's rolling not quite naked, which is interesting because you normally see him as a bit of a cheap lord. He's indeed bringing a Revenge Incarnate. A really powerful buff, just very expensive overall. But Belagar is, a pretty decent tank all round, good solid stats, and is a pretty decent duelist all round. Now for the forces of Chaos, it looks like in the distance we do have some Chaos Warhounds lurking in the periphery of the battlefield there, looking to kind of hunt their way into any Dowie back lines. And for the front line, we have Chaos Warriors with great weapons, so the Marauders are nowhere to be seen. We have the bad to the bones heavy metal Chaos Warriors, who's a pretty decent pick all round. The great weapons will tear apart the enemy. They are, however, a little bit slow and obviously will be big targets for those Thunderers. We have the Soul of Damnation, Regiment of Renowned Hell Cannon, very wisely positioned, I love this play, behind this hill, so the Dowie artillery is not going to be able to hit it, but because it is a mortar-style weapon, it's going to be able to fly up and over, and as you can see, the first shots are starting to land on those brave Dowie warriors. We have one Chaos Feral Manticore up in the skies, good backline harass all round. In the distance, we also have a Gore Beast Chariot. A unit I don't get to see terribly often, but this is a matchup where it's pretty useful. Chariots are notoriously good against Dowie, being able to push through that mass, hop into the back line and do some really good disruption. And the Gore Beast Chariot is definitely going to be able to tick all of those boxes. It is huge, it is burly, and it's ready to crush some bearded skulls. For a lord, we have Prince Sigvald the Magnificent here, one of the memeiest lords in the game. However, he does have a little bit of a niche here. He's pretty hard to kill, and he can go toe-to-toe with a lot of the Dowie characters. Of course, he does have immune to psychology, which won't be particularly useful here, but his armor does give him regeneration, so perhaps he'll be able to shine in this matchup. We do have some Marauder Horsemasters as well. Looks like 3 units dotted all the way along, and I believe to round off the build, we do have a Chaos Sorcerer Fire coming with Fireball, and I believe that's Flamestorm. Let's take a quick look. Piercing Bolts of Burning, there we go. Does do magic damage, but at the same time it is good against armour, so should still be able to affect the Dwarves despite their magic resistance. Looks like the first couple of shots of Hell Cannon did miss, but that one connects right there and clobbers some Thunderers into the dirt. But Dowie, pretty stalwart fellows all round, should be able to get back up onto their feet, back up into the action. They're not ones to miss a scrap. Looks like a fireball is coming in, although it's aiming for Belagar here, which is a bit of an odd choice. He's basically going to take no damage to this. I think probably wants to get a little bit closer and hunt down that cannon if possible. Fireball is very good at destroying artillery pieces, but it looks like the Chaos Sorcerer has indeed been forced back by multiple shots to the face. Lovely shot coming in by the Iron Drakes, or onto the Iron Drakes there, by the Hell Cannons. It arcs up and over and got a pretty good direct hit. Iron Drakes are relatively resilient though. And in the back lines, we can see some Chaos Warhounds have been spotted by the Dwarven folk, who are going to turn and unleash hell upon the Chaos Warhounds. You can see these guys getting absolutely destroyed on the way in. I don't think they're actually going to make it, as a big piercing bolt does come down, but well dodged here by the Dwarf Warriors. That could have done some really dangerous damage. Chaos Warhounds are going to fall back here. They should be able to survive, although a huge volley to the rear is going to make them break. They should be able to come back in the later stages. The lovely Hell Cannon shot does come down once more. Dwarf Warriors with weapons on the left-hand flank, overextending in the wrong direction. Being hunted down by Horse Masters here, but I suppose they're not too expensive, so I suppose you're wasting javelins and axes, which could be used in better targets. The Chaos Sorcerer did get absolutely pelted there by thunderous shots and has decided to wisely fall back. And it looks like Prince Sigvald is going in against Belegar in the one-on-one slaughter. Should be an interesting match. Revenge Incarnate has been popped here, and it looks like there's Overwatch fire coming in, which is going to be pretty key, as Stand Your Die and Deadly Onslaught on Prince Sigvald does turn him into a bit of a beast, and he's going toe-to-toe with Belegar at the moment. However, those Thunderers firing him certainly going to swing it in the Dwarf favour. Hell Cannon is now trying to focus down at the Dwarf Warriors, and it looks like we have more magic at bay here. It does come down doing massive damage there with those piercing bolts. Unfortunately, it was 1 or 2 seconds a little too early. Could have caught 2 units for the price of 1 there, but some awesome damage coming in. Now in the back lines, we can see more Horse Masters reaving through the back lines with the Hounds and Feral Manticore. The Dragonback Slayers do respond here, should be able to hunt down these beasts relatively effectively, but it's not going to save the Thunderers over here, and there's a ton of pressure coming in from all angles, as it looks like some Chaos Warriors have also flanked around the side here, and no pressure has yet been put onto the Hell Cannon. Gore Beast Chariots do overrun the Iron Drakes, which is some good value, and the Dwarfs are starting to struggle as they get pinned down on 1 or 2 units, allowing the Soul of Damnation to get 70 kills, which is pretty impressive stuff. More Horse Masters can now be used to chase down this relatively healthy unit of Dwarf Warriors who is fleeing from the field. However, in the centre pocket, Belegar is going really strong here, toe-to-toe, up against the Prince with his shield raised valiantly high. He's going to come in with an overhanded strike there to try and batter down the Prince, and he's doing a pretty good job. Prince Sigvald is certainly someone I don't think Belegar would get on with at all, and he's making his feelings noted and destroying the Prince at the moment. It looks like some witchcraft was about to go down, but with the Thunder Overwatch, the Prince is in dire straits indeed. But in the back lines, the Dwarfs have been overrun, Thunderers getting destroyed, but the Ekram Miners still have all their blasting charges, have decided to abandon the cannon here, which has done pretty decent work all round. Where are the Slayers? Looks like they are mixed up here with some Chaos Warriors. At least they are unbreakable. I'm going to work as an anvil here to pin them in, while the Thunderers are the hammer, and shooting into the flanks there should get some pretty good work. In the main duel of duels, Belegar manages to smite Sigvald, and as he disgracefully flees, Thunderers do what Dwarfs do best, shoot him in the back, opening a large wound in his glorious face. However, the Feral Manticore is rather angry about this and has decided to come down to try and snipe out Belegar himself, and with some Chaos Warriors pushing through, they should be able to do that quite nicely. Iron Drakes have rallied now and are going to be bombing some Chaos Warriors, doing some pretty solid damage all round, maybe even able to turn this engagement. Looks like though the Dwarf Warriors are going to be running for the hills here, as Belegar is getting smited pretty bad. However, a Revenge Incarnate once again popped, allowing him to go toe-to-toe with this Feral Manticore, and with the Overwatch of the Warhammer Torpedoes dismantling the beast and tearing it apart here. Another big shot by the Soul of Damnation coming in to the Iron Drakes, who need to be fleeing at this moment. Looks like though they are going to be sacrificed to pin in a couple of units and allow the Thunderers to deal the damage. Belegar charging victorious through the breach, hunting down that Chaos Sorcerer of Fire. And it looks like some rallying Dwarf Warriors are finally going to be able to defeat their Chaos cousins and pull apart the Soul of Damnation. Feral Manticore is fleeing for the hills. However, the balance power is slightly in favour at the moment of the Chaos. Looks like Mordor Horse Masters currently getting on their preferred target of the Dragonback Slayers, which would be a really nice pick. However, the Chaos are pretty thin at this point on the ground. They do have a bit of a mobility advantage, and the Chaos Warriors can certainly do some decent work. Mordor Horse Masters popping on top of the Thunderers here, trying to finish those guys off for good. And wherever you look, there are Chaos Warriors beating down Dwarfs with pretty solid kills across the board. The Soul of Damnation is continuing to fire despite the fact that there are some Dwarfs nibbling at their heels. Chaos Sorcerer Fire is trying his best here to defend the mighty Hell Cannon, which is up to 115 kills. Very impressive stuff. But the Chaos Sorcerer certainly wants to flee, as Belegar does run in here screaming oaths of vengeance and chases that bad boy off the field, or at least out of the main battle for now. Soul of Damnation is going to be compromised here, however, but it looks like the mobility of the Chaos is coming back to bite the Dwarfs slightly. While the Horsemasters have been able to go over here to attempt to assist, and the Feral Manticore is going to swoop in once more. Has really decent stats, especially on the charge. Can definitely pin in and kind of snipe out characters pretty well. Belegar at this point has been flung, no, didn't get flung to the ground, stood his ground and slapped that Chaos Feral Manticore, and it is going to run once more, perhaps still able to rally, but Belegar is terrified in the process. I always find it very strange that creatures running away can still cause terror. I don't know what you guys think about that. Let me know in the description if you think it's a good mechanic or a bad mechanic. I don't know, I've always thought it's odd. A little bit odd if you've just slain a beast or pushed the beast away and it terrifies your lord off the battlefield, because now this Chaos Sorcerer is going to get a load of free value here. The Soul of Damnation up to 121 kills, very close here though to begin getting overrun, as it's going to fire 1 or 2 last shots in. All the Horsemasters are dancing back and forth, but they've run out of ammunition, so certainly have to do some decent cycle charging. And the Dwarf forces are pretty battered, so leadership could be a problem. In the distance, Belegar is finished off here by the Sorcerer of Fire, which is certainly going to help the Chaos forces. A bit of a boon in this situation, and should allow them to help kind of break down this Dwarry force with some good old cycle charging, which is one of the banes of Dwarf's existence, unfortunately. Echoing Miners get hit by a big old blast and are also wavering on the brink of destruction as Chaos Warriors do come charging in, and the Echoing Miners certainly don't want to fight that fight. In the distance, however, we do have some Thunderers rallying, which might be able to come back and do a little bit of late game damage, but a very close game, very pitched battle all the way through. Soul of Damnation has been compromised for a while, but continuing to fire regardless, although it looks like the Dragonback Slayers, been real MVPs here, have managed to destroy the soul itself, and you know, they're actually going to be pretty tricky to deal with, honestly. 28 Dragonback Slayers is no joke, although it looks like the rest of the Dwarry forces are fleeing for the hills, so the Slayers almost stand alone. There's 15 Dwarf Warriors as well, and some Thunderers who could perhaps come back, but if we take a look around the battlefield, there is not much left. It's a barren field of dead bodies here. I'm sure the crows will be feasting tonight. Dragonback Slayers are now hunting down the Marauder Horsemasters. Getting them off the field would be very effective, as they can no longer cycle charge and break the leadership of other Dwarry forces. But there is still a ton more coming in, as well as some Chaos Warriors, and in their thick armour, they can be a little bit harder to take down than your average Chaos kind of Marauder, I suppose. The Chaos Sorcerer of Fire is chasing down some Dwarf Warriors, but they are now shattered, so probably wants to turn and face the enemy anew. Another fireball or two wouldn't go amiss. At least it's killing models here, which is going to be the key moment. Horsemasters maybe want to float over and deal with the Thunderers, but I'm not sure if they'd be able to survive a volley and actually get into combat. Over on this left-hand side, Marauder Horsemasters doing fantastic work. I wonder how many kills these guys have now. 87, very impressive. Bouncing between combats, never staying anywhere too long, and consistently breaking leadership here. The Dragonback Slayers, slightly out of position now from their fellow Dwarfs, are trotting back as quickly as possible. And this is such a tight battle. Pretty much every single unit is wavering or close to wavering. No one has good leadership at all, apart from, of course, the Dragonback Slayers being unbreakable. It's kind of a tricky situation for them, because of course Slayers want to die honourably, but if they do pull this out, they'll survive to fight another day, I suppose. Chaos Sorcerer is going to be darting in here as well, and it looks like a lot of the Dwarf forces have given up hope here, as the balanced power does seep slightly in favour of Chaos here. It looks like Echo Miners as well could be chased off here. Lovely micromanagement though by Sergeant Spaghetti. Going to be pulling his Dragonback Slayers back, so if the Chaos do want to get on top of these Echo Miners, they're going to have to go through the Slayers, which is not a good situation for them, although it looks like they're perhaps going for a rear charge anyway. The Dragonback Slayers do turn around just about in time, and they should be able to hack down a few of these horsemen, and every charge is going to cost blood here for Chaos. So it looks like we are getting ready for the final showdown. Thunderers have been forced off, and it is simply the last stand of the Slayers. Only 21 of these fellows left, and there's a lot of Marauder Horsemasters darted around, and Chaos Sorcerer Fire can still do some decent work. However, all these units are large, so of course these Slayers do have the bonus versus large. Army losses has kicked in at this point, but can the Slayers pull back a miracle? 20 of these bad boys left do charge gloriously into the Marauder Horsemasters, although a ton of them get pushed over. And it's possible, even with army losses. I think there's a way in here for the Dragonback Slayers. Is there any more dotted around? No. Okay, that's a bit strange. It says there's... oh, there we go. Only 7 left. 7 Dragonback Slayers do force back the Marauder Horsemasters and break one unit, and the second unit is wavering here, down to just 6 models. They surround the Chaos Sorcerer Fire, who's attempting to flee, and drops... Oh, this could be really dangerous. Another Piercing Bolt is going to come in, although it looks like the Dragonback Slayers have, for the most part, managed to dodge it. Maybe they get some splash damage onto them. Ooh, no, looks like it's a complete miss. 85 health remaining. There is 4 Dragonback Slayers surrounding this Chaos Sorcerer. This is crazy. Another Slayer goes down, but gets a death blow. And it looks like the Dwarfs win. That is crazy. The Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Fire does indeed break as 3 mighty Slayers hold the line and fulfill the Oaths of Belegar. That was some crazy stuff. One of the closest games I've ever seen. Coming down to Chaos actually breaking the back of the Dwarf army, getting that army losses, but the Slayers clutching it at the death there. Hope you guys enjoyed this battle. Feel free to give it a big old thumbs up if you did. It really actually helps out the channel quite a lot and pushes it to more people. And feel free to subscribe as well for more Total War Warhammer content. We drop stuff every week, pretty much 6 to 7 videos a week. But yeah, crazy game. I'm kind of speechless here at this point. Very well played to Sergeant Spaghetti and Grombrindle, 2 absolute champs and friends of the channel. And always good to see these guys go toe-to-toe against each other. And massive shout-out as well to Spaghetti for sending this in via my Discord. As for the builds, I'm a pretty big fan of both of them. I'm actually a massive fan of the Chaos tactic here of hiding the Soul of Damnation behind that hill. 141 kills, kept it online for an extremely long time, and a fantastic play as well with the Marauder Horsemasters hunting down troops and never giving the Dwarfs a break. 98, 69 and 100 kills is some very impressive stuff. Now as for the force of the Dwarfs, certainly man of the match has to go to the Dragonback Slayers of 102 kills and all the important ones, pinning in troops and allowing the Thunderers to deal some big damage to key targets throughout the whole battle. It's always good as well to see Belegar going toe-to-toe with Sigvald and a Manticore and doing huge amounts of damage, despite the fact it looks like he didn't indeed get any kills himself. Anyway guys, until next time, peace, and as always, stay awesome.